Here's an introduction to Model T service on a front suspension.
Not original.
This is an upgraded suspension from back in the day. That is not original, but there is 3 greasable plunger style grease zerks here that you would use a needle point to get in there and grease those with some caps. So there's 3 of these on each side. Okay, and then on the passenger side of the vehicle, this is where you fill your engine oil. And on a Model T, the engine oil and the transmission are actually the same reservoir. So you fill your oil here on this little cap here. That's your fill. And then to check the oil level, you actually have to get down on the ground underneath here. And on the transmission bell housing, there's 2 plugs. And you want to just open that top plug, turn that about a half a turn or 3/4, and that will be open. And then you fill the oil up at the top where I previously showed you there at that cap. And once the oil starts coming out of that top fill plug, then you know that that reservoir is full. So the drain is at the very bottom of that reservoir, is right there. So that's that. But at the top level there, that's when you know that the engine is full. And like I said, the engine and transmission use the same oil. And what weight do you think? What, 30 weight again?
1030.
1030? Okay. So a 1030 weight oil would be a good standard oil to use on this vehicle year-round. So that's where you check the oil level. Okay. So that's that one. The way that this is set up here is your cylinder number 1 is forward. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are in order on the back here as 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4 back. And here's a video of how you check your fuel level. You have to lift up the passenger seat bottom, and then there's your fuel tank, fuel fill right there. And then you use that stick, and that stick has gradual marks on there to see how full that fuel is.
Right there.
So right there, you can see we're
Full tank, so we got 8 gallons.
about 8 gallons there. So that's an 8-gallon fill right there. That is how you check your fuel. That is a manual gas gauge. There you go. Okay, now coming in here, looking at the floorboards here. These floorboards come out in sections. Real easy to figure that out. There's about 3 sections of these floorboards that come out of the floor, and then your rubber mat. These here rotate over here, and that's what locks in the floorboard. So you take the floorboards out, and then in here, there's 2 locations here to grease. And these again are the pressure style greasing mechanisms here. These are caps. The caps come off counterclockwise, and then you put in wheel bearing grease in there from a normal grease gun, and you pack these caps full, and then you put the caps back on clockwise, and by rotating that clockwise, that puts pressure and greases the drive line. There's 2 of those there, a small and a large. So that's the drive line greasing. And then when you're done there, just put the floorboards back in and the rubber mat, and you're done. Real easy. Okay, here's a video of the floorboards being reinstalled. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. Back one goes in first. Then there's 2 front sections. Just slide and put into place there by the pedals. And then the front section goes in last. And then there's these retainer clips on the outside that hold that down so they don't pop up. And then the rubber floor mat will go on top of that. Just fit it over the pedals and it goes right into place. And then right there is your starter. Okay.
We're turning left. Now, if you wanna go right, and we turn right. And back to the park position.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then the suspension, what suspension would have been,
With that front would have had what, like a monoleaf setup? Not greasable?
Well, it would have had all oil.
Oh, the oil
Oil
cap.
Zerks.
Oil Zerks style, okay.
Yeah. You would have just had main leaf spring. And then here, instead of going back up into this piece, the spring shackles would be turned around, and then the leaf spring goes into this point.
Okay.
So it's just a lot simpler.
All right. We're jacking this wheel up on the driver's side just to give the driveline some released pressure on the clutch and the engine. So when we start it, that there's no excess drag on that starter.
you can tell sometimes about why the clutch plate was.
Sometimes the clutch plates will get warped from heat and use over the years, and then they don't release properly. Otherwise, they may get oil contaminated, the oil gets burnt onto them, and then they don't want to release as well. So this is kind of a makeshift solution for taking care of that problem.
And of course, in the colder temperature here in Minnesota, and if it's, yeah, I'd say if it's anything colder than probably 60 degrees, you know, you're going to have some drag on there because, you know, you're going to have some residual oil on that clutch mechanism and in the drive line. So if there's some excess drag on there, it will give some more resistance to the starter starting. And if you have a weaker 6-volt battery, it just helps to have that wheel lifted up off the ground in the colder ambient air temperatures to give it a better starting